And welcome back to New York Viewpoint. I'm Ken Rosado. Giving parents and kids a choice is the focus behind the Harlem Success Charter. The public elementary school is founded on a simple premise that every single child can succeed. Eva Moskowitz, a former New York City elected official and chair of the New York City Council of Education Committee, is also founder of the Success Charter Network, which runs the Harlem Success Charter School. She is a forceful advocate for education and student rights and is here to talk to us now. Eva, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Ken, for having me.
You know, I have a friend who is a teacher in South Florida and knows who you are from having read about you and the incredible success. In fact, she referred to you as a rock star in education. How does it feel to have that kind of reputation?
Well, I just very dedicated to children, very passionate about what they can achieve, and very sad that not only in the city but all over the country they are not getting what they are entitled to. And so I just am determined that they should get what they're entitled to, which is a phenomenal education.
Would you say the biggest opponent to charter schools such as yours would be the teachers union?
It's the teachers union and the elected officials. I call it the union political educational complex. Those two forces together could, stop you from doing a lot of good things for kids.
Well, I mean, I guess you pose a major threat. You come into their district where so many of their schools, and not all of their schools, many of their schools are doing fine, but so many, unfortunately, for the amount of money being spent per pupil, have horrible outcomes, and as a result, then you come in and you run a school and the outcomes are up here. And all these kids are graduating and going on to bigger and better things, and basically you're embarrassing them. Is that basically the way it looks?
I do think that our incredible success proves something very, very threatening, which is it's not the children. The children are perfectly capable. The problem is the adults and the system of educational delivery of services. That's the problem. And I think when the children succeed, it proves beyond a doubt that the children are good. They just need a great education. And that's very threatening.
How many years ago did the Harlem Academy open up?
We opened 4 years ago, August 20th, 2006. We have 4 schools currently educating 1,400 kids. And in 44 business days, we're opening up 3 new ones, and we'll be educating 2,400 children total.
And what kind of a wait is there to get in? I understand there's a lottery that you have to have.
Correct. We had 7,000 parents applying for about 1,000 spots.
Which says that there must be something to what you're doing that makes them want to have their child there. Give us some success stories.
Well, we have children who have spent a couple of years in a zone school who, let's say, are in 2nd grade and they don't read. And within about 6 weeks, we teach them to read.
So what is the excuse? What excuse do the zone schools give when they have a student who has spent years in their schools and they can't read and they come into your school and can read in 6 weeks? What possible excuse do they have for that?
Well, people point to things. I think it is an excuse. They'll point to poverty. They'll point to the home life. They'll point to lots of things. And our students, we're Title I schools. Our students are poor. And that's not a reason that a kid can't learn to read. It takes a lot of elbow grease. And our teachers work incredibly hard. We don't believe in excuses. If Plan A doesn't work, then we go to Plan B. If Plan B doesn't work, we go to Plan C. We do that with special ed students, we do it with English language learners, and we do it with kids who live below the poverty line. For us, it doesn't matter. It matters that the child learns to succeed, and we will do whatever it takes for that child to succeed.
I have a friend who's a teacher in New Jersey and said that and pointed out that in the Newark School District that it's one of the highest amounts of money spent per pupil with the lowest graduation rate, or one of the lowest in the entire United States. And you just have to think, what on earth is happening to the money, and how could so many students be failed by the community? Literally, these students are being failed by their schools.
I mean, it is very, very sad, and I grew up in Harlem, and for now half a century, we've had failing schools that have just been left to languish. And, it's my hope and my dream that all children, whether they're in charters or zone schools, all children have access to educational opportunity. But I think we have to get beyond it being rocket science, because it really isn't. There are some pretty simple ingredients to success. One is old-fashioned parental involvement. The notion that schools can educate children without parents shows a lack of humility. It has to be a partnership between parents and the school. I would argue reading our kids are not reading enough. Our children read constantly. This year alone at our 4 schools, our children have read close to 400,000 books.
Amazing.
Reading is really, really key. And the third ingredient is high-quality teaching. We have to have the very best in our school system, and we have to invest in teachers so that they can get better.
And I can imagine there must be a lot of teachers in public schools who are frustrated because they're great teachers. There are so many fantastic teachers in New York City and in public schools around the tri-state area who love teaching, and their hands are shackled because of the way things might be set up at their school, et cetera. And they want to just teach those kids. They want to see those kids go off learning and going on to bigger and better things, and they're frustrated. Have you gotten that with teachers who come to work for you?
Absolutely. We had 13,000 approximately apply to work for us. We had 69 spots last year. So we have UFT members of the Teachers Union, leaving traditional public schools to come work at Harlem Success, really because they love teaching. They're tired of the discipline problems interfering with teaching. They're tired of punching a clock, being treated like a factory worker rather than a true professional.
Now, what you might hear from the Teachers Union, because there is no one here from the Teachers Union, so to play devil's advocate, they would say, you know what happens is you siphon money away from the public schools, so you make whatever issues there are more difficult. How would you answer that?
Well, I don't think it's a question of siphoning away. A kid is a kid is a kid. Whether they go to charters or traditional public schools, parents don't care. And frankly, we get less money than the traditional zone schools. So while we get $12,443 per kid, in the co-located schools in Harlem that I operate in, those traditional public schools get between $18,000 and $21,000 per child.
And when you compare apples to apples, the results are?
Not even close.
So
our kids are performing up here. We had 100% of our kids ace the math exam. We were number 2 in the state of New York. We had 95% of our kids acing the reading exam.
But that's all because we know that there's no poverty in Harlem. See, so your kids are all come from wealthy, upscale, solid backgrounds. That's why they did so well, right? Of course, I'm being facetious.
Yes.
You can see the tongue tearing through my cheek right now.
We're a Title I school, which means that we're a school serving majority of kids below the poverty line. And remember, the poverty line is very, very low. So you could be 5% above the poverty line, and for all intensive purposes, you're a person of struggling socioeconomic means. We also have about 15% of our kids are special ed, and we have English language learners. So this is an apples-to-apples comparison, and our teachers are knocking the ball out of the park with the kids.
And the kids are loving. Obviously, you're providing an environment where these kids love to learn.
They do. They love coming to school, and part of that is the rigorous academics, but also we believe in art and music and dance and sports.
Eva, I wish you the best, and I know you have more opening up, and I don't know, I'm sure every New Yorker, or most New Yorkers would agree that we hope that a heck of a lot more continue to open. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
I'm Ken Rosado. We thank you again for joining us, and we invite you to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.